Welcome to the Log Time Podcast. We have a lovely little anime this go around called We Rent Tsukumogami, a mix of small town vibes with a little detective work and a pinch of supernatural. It's a mix that works really nicely, so let's dig in. This was a pleasant little show.
Yeah, We Rent Tsukumogami was another mystery garbage choice for us, and it was a perfectly fine show. I didn't realize this was as recent as it was. I mean, like, 'cause this was a summer 2018 show.
Oh, okay.
I kind of feel like I would have at least seen a preview for this or something a couple years back. Like, at least something. But I didn't know this thing existed until we rolled it.
Yeah, I mean, my memory's shit, but I also don't remember seeing it before this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, one of those hidden shows, I guess. I don't know how much was airing that season, but it was probably packed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of seems like a Rokuhodo sort of situation where it was also a very recent airing thing in the last, 2 years, but I just had no idea it existed.
Yeah.
So, just one of those things that just gets kind of buried.
Yeah. Thanks, Mystery Garbage, for unburying whatever is buried.
You're so poetic, Matt.
But yeah, It kind of felt like Richard Jeweler light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely had a thought of that. Which is weird because I feel like Rokuhodo, we also said that about. So that's kind of weird.
Kinda.
It kind of reminded me of that a little bit when I was watching it. I was like, okay.
It's folks in traditional Japanese garb solving people's problems.
Yeah. Using
it's
animated objects.
Yeah. I meant to compare it to Rokuhodo, but yeah, that would be wild if Rokuhodo, the food came to life. That would be batshit insane. But yeah, this is it's like
if you took Brave Little Toaster and made it into a mystery anime.
Shit. See, I was gonna say
that's a good
I was gonna say it was gonna be like an Edo period Beauty and the Beast sort of situation, but if you cut out Beauty and the Beast and just kept all the sentient things.
I was just thinking it was like an Edo period Toy Story, basically.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I read that in the comments somewhere.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Crunchyroll.
Yeah, so basically, any of these sorts of things. I think the premise is neat. I thought the idea of, this brother-sister duo who's definitely not brother and sister, even though they insist for a long time that they're brother and sister to the point where it's just kind of weird.
It's that whole, step-sibling thing, but it was kind of weird that they kept saying, oh, no, we're just brother and sister, but not by blood.
They're not even step-siblings, though.
I thought she was adopted into the family because the fire burned down her old home.
Okay, so Seiji, our male protagonist here, Seiji, was the adoptive son of his father, and Oko was the daughter of Seiji's adoptive father's brother. So they're like cousin-in-laws or something like that, or weird foster adoptive cousins. I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter. Whatever. They have a rental shop, and there are objects in there that they rent out. Some of them have spirits in them, and it's cool. I like the idea.
Yeah.
It's a unique premise. It's very relaxing to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty chill, all things considered. They get into a pretty wide variety of different shenanigans, with lovers' quarrels and stolen items and, not quite Ark of the Covenant kind of shit, but, there's definitely some exploring to happen in there.
They're very much in, like, they're in everybody's business when it comes to, like, small town vibes, and just, like, I hear this rumor of something going on, and they're like, all right, well, let's investigate this.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basically, these two try to manage their nosy-ass living items and solve problems along the way.
I love the Tsukumogami. They're my favorite.
They're super, super good. And they all have very fun, different personalities and shit. I love the big moon head man, who just doesn't shut up about, like, old Eastern philosophy and shit. It's great. He's delightful, and I love how he makes people snooze.
I had a whole arc personally when they were trying to when they were talking about the comb, and like I literally started chanting, "Don't sell the comb! Don't sell the comb!" and then they talked about they were actually going to sell the comb. I was like, "No, you can't do that." And then they didn't sell the comb, and I was very happy.
The comb is too precious. You can't sell her.
Yeah, I think it's very fun in that, like, part of the central ideas of the show is that the Tsukumogami, like, these objects become Tsukumogami because they've been cherished over a long period of time, and that's how they develop that kind of spirit sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And the show did a really good job of, like, endearing the spirits and the objects more to me than some of the characters in the show. It's not that I didn't like the human cast or anything, but, like, kind of by comparison, the Tsukumogami themselves had such, like, animated personalities that made them immediately endearing.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just easier to like inanimate objects when they're personified.
I think so. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
I think it's also great that, like, because they now exist as these objects and they're not human, so they don't have to do human things, they're bored out of their minds and they're just desperate for gossip. It's so great.
Okay, but they're desperate for gossip, but the thing about Tsukumogami is that they're not supposed to speak with or interact with humans.
Right.
But Seiji and Oko definitely, like, do interact with them, but they've all kind of got this, understood sort of thing where it's like the Tsukumogami will talk out loud but not at the humans, and then the humans will talk out loud but not at the Tsukumogami. And so they kind of, like, they kind of communicate in this weird, like, telephone sort of thing.
It's same
bizarre.
It's the same, like, elementary school bullshit that you did with your friend whenever you had an argument, and so you were like, I'm not talking to him, and so you talk through another friend to get to them.
Yeah, but like at the same spot in the playground.
Yeah,
like they're right next to you.
Like, both parties can hear each other and know exactly what they're talking about, but they're refusing to admit that they're talking to each other, and so they're just using another friend to talk through.
Yeah, it's really absurd. And I mean, it doesn't do a whole lot of difference for, like, how shit gets resolved or anything necessarily.
No,
but it still just adds that level of consistency and just goof-assery that is, again, really delightful to watch.
It's a show that definitely doesn't take itself, like, too seriously at any point in time. It's just, I mean, I don't think you can really have a serious show with talking inanimate objects. I think that's kind of difficult.
Yeah, I think it's a hard thing to balance there.
Can you imagine,
especially when you set the tone like this?
Can you imagine, though, that you have the same exact characters with the same personalities, but it's like a hard noir crime drama where, like, someone's dead and they gotta figure out who?
I would absolutely watch that. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's so good. I would love that.
Like, I would watch the little bat dude, Notetsu. I would absolutely watch him just, like, stealth infiltrate, like, buildings or different rooms and shit, and, like, convey info back to, like, I don't know, the investigators or something, and be like, there's 2 targets in here. You want me to get them? I'd watch the shit out of that. Are you kidding me?
Mono-san was found with the knife. Oh, no. We gotta tell the humans.
God. Oh, but we can't. Shit.
Okay, we're just gonna talk in this vent, and maybe they'll hear us on the other side.
It is funny in this
Bring
show.
up a map of the vent system.
It's very good, I think, in this show where like the Tsukumogami, they're just like, yeah, it'd be great if somebody did that, and then they just like stare around the corner at the humans, but they just don't say anything. And then the humans are like, yeah, we should do something about that stares around the corner at the objects. It's great.
Like, I feel like some shows could do something sort of like this and it would just get really annoying, but it's just, it's never not, like, funny or just amusing in some capacity. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just, they've made a really fun group of characters, and it makes these little goof-asseries work really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's delightful.
I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking about the structure of the show, and you mentioned that it was kind of like Jeweler Richard-esque, and I was thinking that initially after the first like episode or so, and I was like, oh, this is going to be episodic things, we're going to see people, and then that's it. But like our main cast is Oko and Seiji, and then the Tsukumogami.
Yeah.
But I was really delighted to see that they built this central like side character pool as well,
yes,
that were persistent,
yes,
and we saw them develop and grow alongside our main cast as well throughout it, and that really surprised me. I wasn't expecting that because it has such a setup that would feel like it would just be very episodic in nature, and everything is its own kind of like self-contained thing. But it really does, you know, do a lot for showing how the entire cast really grows throughout the series, and that was very surprising, and I was really delighted to see it.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised about that too, because I thought it was going to be like an episodic thing, but then it gets episode 3 or 4 and I'm like, oh, it's the same characters that we saw like 2 episodes ago, and then like we started learning a little bit more about them, and then by the end like we have this whole like like you said, a side cast of characters, and I was like, wow, this is really nice.
Yeah, it really brings together this like small community thing. Sorry to go over you.
Oh, you're good.
It really brings like just this small little community, and like you get to see their lives as they just all kind of like get older together. And you can just enjoy this like nice little moment with this small town, and I liked that a lot, especially because like you would have constant interactions between all these different characters. It wasn't just like, oh, let's check in on this person. It was like, no, that person was actually integral to the plot of this episode, which then led into this episode.
It's a really persistent ecosystem.
Yeah,
because there's so much interplay, and a lot of it is because so many of the characters own their own different shops and such, and so they're all like a network of different shopkeepers, and so they kind of rely on each other for a bunch of different supplies, and then also, you know, hot gossip and shit like that. Like it feels very fluid.
Yeah,
it's very natural in that way.
It feels pretty different too. Like I don't feel like a lot of shows take their side characters like that and make a pool of them at the end to make them all kind of connect with each other.
It's really fascinating, because I mean, generally speaking, you know, I feel as though shows that do this sort of thing have a much larger cast of characters than this. You know, I'm thinking like some Baccano or Durarara kind of shit, where you have like a huge ensemble cast and they all kind of blend together. But it's not very often that you see this kind of smaller pool of characters to choose from that so consistently interweave and are all in many ways very integral to the plot pretty consistently.
Yeah,
and it's kind of interesting too, because this show, I mean, I think in Baccano and Durarara there's like action that brings the characters together, while in this show there's not really a lot of that. It's just kind of like, oh hey, we're visiting this shop today, and then you know they go to the rental Tsukumogami shop, and they're just like, hey, what's up, we're here again today.
Or they're going to the sweet shop and they just happen to run into so-and-so and also so-and-so there, and just fucking hang.
Yeah.
it's very cool. It's a surprisingly chill, interconnected group of folks, and it made for a very pleasant watching experience.
Also, as a Westerner, I very much appreciated whenever they would stop and be like, well, so here's the reason why this is, and like in modern times, it's kind of like this, and I'm like, yes, thank you, okay, I don't know this culture very well.
Yeah, that was so cool, because there were so many of those little things, like the little charms or the pipes and shit,
right,
that they would talk all sorts of stuff about, and I'd look at them and I'm like, what is that? That's a cute little wooden bat carving. What the fuck do you do with it? And they're like, yeah, this is like basically the equivalent of like modern phone charms or something. It's just a snazzy decoration. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I dig that.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. It was cool to see that it's not just like a translator's note. Like, it's an actual thing that's incorporated into the show.
It's also helpful in understanding in those episodes why there's such important value on this particular item. And so that you can really understand, that's why a Tsukumogami was created out of this item. Like, it was cherished for this reason.
Yeah,
they had their own little backstories.
Yeah, and it was really nice. I liked that.
Because, I mean, like, for instance, like, the whole episode where Tsukuyomi, the full moon wall scroll, was a big focus. A lot of that episode, kind of talked about the importance of different wall scrolls and how you would have different ones out for, like, different seasons or different occasions or different times of day, and how a full moon one often wouldn't be displayed because it's like, well, why the fuck would you put a full moon scroll up if there's a nice full moon out anyways? Like, what's the point, dude? And I'm just like, oh, I didn't have any concept of, like, how deep and detailed, like, the decorative artistry of these things was. Like, what the shit, dude?
Yeah, it's pretty cool to actually learn a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
I learned a lot about wall scrolls.
Yes.
I also learned a lot about, like, this particular period. I thought it was fascinating because I had no idea that there were just so many fires happening that people were finally like, fuck it, I don't own anything, I'll rent it. Like, I had no idea that was a concept in Japan. I was at that time, and I was like, that's super cool. That's a really neat little bit of history where it's just like people kept losing shit all the time because of fires. So they're like, I guess we'll just rent things now if we need them.
Yeah, it's so fucking interesting because I was like, oh wow, that's really wild for a concept for a show, like to have a rental shop. That's so quirky and neat.
Yeah.
But then to see that it had this kind of basis in this historical period where it's like, shit was bad and folks didn't know when they were still going to have stuff. So there wasn't much point to actually buy things. Yeah. So
I learned this was actually like a pretty good, like, historical piece. Like, honestly. Like, I learned a lot. Yeah. I learned a lot about this time period.
It's historic edutainment.
Well, and the thing is, though, like, I feel as though a lot of series that do try to be, like, slightly educational about these sorts of things tends to go into, like, an almost, like, textbooky sort of territory.
Yeah.
But it never felt that way with Tsukumogami.
No.
It felt very easily woven into the show itself, and it never felt kind of ham-fisted. And again, I was surprised and delighted by it. I was like, oh, that's a cool fact. And then they just kind of moved back on to, it's like, okay, here's our, like, little bite-sized context. Now let's actually get back into the meat of this thing.
They only tell you just exactly what you need to know for the plot to make sense, and then you're like, all right, great, let's get back to it.
Yeah, it's, I mean, honestly, like, it was pretty well done.
Yeah,
it reminded me a little bit of how Yudu Camp did their little things for, like, all the different gear, and it's like, why are they using that?
Oh, yeah.
Another show that had inanimate objects speaking.
Poor pine cone.
It's hot. As it's just on fire.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's such a fun show, and I mean, like, the actual stories and dramas were perfectly fine, I guess.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was like super invested in a lot of it. There were a couple storylines here and there, like the seaweed shop seller and a few other ones that were like really interesting, and I was really pulled into it. But I would say that even if I wasn't like really hooked by it consistently, it was still a overall solid enough package to keep me interested throughout.
Yeah, it wasn't like there weren't really any huge high stakes. Nothing was like super big or very important. It was just like neat little stories, and then like we just got to enjoy our characters going through those neat little stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really have any issues with how they did any of that. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, I'm going to get into this, but it was not like, oh, well, this is bad. It was like,
no.
perfectly serviceable at a good level.
Yeah. Like, this is a solid, like, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Like, it is perfectly watchable. It's fun. It goes down easy.
Honestly, it's the type of show for me who loves comfy. It's the type of show for me where like if they just like kept going, I'd be like, okay, that's nice. I'd be like, oh, it's a nice little thing to put on.
Yeah, it definitely does seem like the sort of thing where they have again developed a environment and a character base where they could just kind of keep doing this for a while. I know that they kind of resolved some of the central, like, quote unquote conflict.
Yeah.
Of it all, of
conflict
the
question mark.
Yeah, of the love triangle, question mark of the series. I don't know, but I mean, if you just made this into a historical slice of life sort of thing, along with some mild, like, detective-y elements with supernatural items, like, yeah, I feel like this could definitely be it's Sunday, time to watch the newest, comfy thing for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And veg out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real nice for that. I see there was originally a novel, or a light novel.
Oh, yeah, I see sources novel, so...
Oh, yeah, just a straight-up novel, okay.
It was a novel. I think I read somewhere that it was like 220-some pages, 270-some pages, somewhere around that.
Yep, I mean, that's definitely novel, so...
Yeah, so they must have done some anime original stuff then to like flesh out 12 episodes.
Yeah, I don't really know the details. I heard that some stories were left out. So I don't really know the entire details. If maybe there's more novels, I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think I'm glad that it was a 12 episode. To be fair, like I know I said that this could definitely be an ongoing sort of thing, but for the purposes of this, I was very glad that it wasn't like a two-core, because I feel as though like I could do a lot of this in very small bursts, not necessarily a ton in a short period.
Yeah,
right.
For the podcast, I ended up watching this in like little chunks over the course of a week of just like, a few here, a few here, a few here. And I liked doing that, but I think like for the purpose of the podcast, doing that for 24 episodes would have been too much. But like if I was just watching this on my own, I think more would be perfectly fine. But in the context of this, it was nice to just watch like a couple of little chunks. All right, great, this story's over.
Yeah, it's a itty bitty little treat for you.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
I mean, honestly, there's not much more we can say. It was just this delightful little thing. Check it out if you like comfy.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't anything like super special necessarily, but it did a good job, and it was fun, and I didn't hate it. And so I think
We're clearing a high bar right now.
Okay, all right, okay, but there's a lot of stuff out there that I would look at and say like, I hate that though, and I don't want to watch that.
I know.
So
This is
haters.
This is the guy at the what is it called whenever you're going underneath the bar? The Mumbo?
Limbo.
This is the guy at like the limbo
Did you say
party.
Mumbo?
I said Mumbo Jumbo. This is the guy at the limbo party where like, you know, he's not flashy. He just gets underneath the bar and you're like, okay, well, yeah, good job for you. You did it. It's not one of those people that like goes under on skates, like flipping over or something like that. It's just like, okay, yeah, good job. You made it.
Yeah. I'm striking it up as another win for the mystery garbage. # trust the process. And
I'm so nervous because we haven't necessarily landed on a landmine.
We
mystery
have to
garbage.
hit a fucking bomb at some point.
At some point.
I think the last one we even had close to that was it, Death March?
Oh yeah, we were
Yeah.
we were close to something, but
Yeah. Well, we haven't like really hurt yet, and I think that I don't know. It scares me.
you think we're due for something like that?
We have to be, right? Like our luck has to run out at some point.
Yeah, it's. I feel it coming.
I don't know. All I'm saying is we have a seasonal cast next, and then we have one of our own choice after that. So we've got some time before our next mystery garbage.
You can write your will, you know,
We
tell
have
your
some
lovers.
And you know, the funny thing is that the way the luck's been going, probably Zach will hate whatever it is. Like, I don't know what it'll be, but I just feel like since Zach just said I hate a lot of things.
I mean, I don't hate a lot of things. I'm just saying, like, you know, you look
Mr.
at
Stick
say
in the
a
Mud.
seasonal, you look at a seasonal spread, and I'm just like, oh my god, I want to watch not much of this.
And then you always say that though, and then you end up watching a whole bunch. So
I know. I'm usually the one watching the most out of this crew at this point, but there's still a bunch out there that I'm just like, I don't want to touch it.
that's okay. I'll touch anything you don't want to touch.
I know you will. You are a garbage collector.
That's insulting, but okay.
You have said you like trash.
He's
you
not
are our self-proclaimed trash.
He's not a garbage collector. He's a salvager of things.
Okay, all right.
I just like what I like. Sorry.
Well, maybe you will love some of this trash so much that it will turn sentient. Maybe you'll make a Tsukumogami out of some garbage.
Help! I can't
I'm gonna
believe
end this before Matt kills me.
I can't believe my anime turned sentient and is a cute anime girl now. The light novel.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Okay.
Catch everybody for the next one.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. As always, you can find all our podcast, articles, videos, etc. at thebacklogers.com. Our intro-outro song is The Bear by A Shell in the Pit, who you can find on Spotify as well as Bandcamp. And we'd love to hear from y'all either on the comments on our site or any feedback you want to leave us on whatever podcast platform you like. iTunes, SoundCloud, or the local gossip mill used to entertain inanimate objects. And as always, we're on Twitter at _Backloggers. So pull up a sit and log and stop by for a bit. See you later.